A gentleman was passing by, he asked for a drink as he got right the well below the valley, oh. Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. Me cup is full up to the brim, if I were to stoop I might fall in.
Planxty were an Irish folk band. They have had three stints of existence from 1971 to 75, from 1978 to 83, and from 2003 to 5. It kind of looks like they got on well for short periods of time. The guy who was in the band that I've heard of is a guy called Christy Moore, and they're traditional Irish folk, so they use traditional Irish instruments and songs and tunes. They have been credited with being hugely influential in bringing Irish folk to a wider audience by touring and recording ahead of the curve. So before I kick into the review, if you have heard this album and you have an opinion, please put a comment down in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think. If you like what I'm doing, do click that like thing. That gives me a great encouragement. And if you want to see these videos as they come out, I'm chucking them out at quite a rate at the moment. Please subscribe. All right, let's get into the album. So this was Planxty's first album, and I would definitely describe it as Celtic folk. So I think of this kind of folk as being real folk. But that's because that's the stuff that I've encountered most. So the Celtic folk traditions, strongly from Ireland and Scotland, are the primary sources of this stuff. Wikipedia says it also includes the music of Wales, Cornwall, the Isle of Man, Brittany, the Galician tradition music from Spain, and the music of Portugal. They've missed one, which is where my interface with it has come in, which is Northumbria. So I live in Northumberland in England, which is the most northerly county of England, and we're kind of 1 foot in Scotland, really, to some extent. And the folk tradition here is really strong, and it's great. So this is my experience of this kind of folk has very much come through the folk concerts and what they call ceilidhs, which are the dance, the country dancing, barn dance is sometimes called further south in England. So this album is very much like that. If you know of that kind of tradition of folk, it's a mix of songs and tunes, and the tunes tend to be faster. They often put 2 or 3 tunes together, back to back, one after the other, and they're traditionally dancing tunes for the ceilidh events, interspersed with songs. Now they're all, apart from one, they're all traditional songs on this album, and they're not done in a rocked up way or a jazzed up way. They're just done a straight folk, and it's good. I like it. They use traditional instruments. One of the instruments that's really featured here is the Uilleann pipes, which is, so if you think of bagpipes as being the Scottish Highland bagpipes, which are an advanced weapon of warfare, to be honest, not to be played indoors under any circumstances, apart from maybe if you're having a haggis on Burns night. The Uilleann pipes are a bit like so the Northumberland pipes are similar in the what's called the closed-end chanter, and it gives it a different sound. It's much gentler sound, and it gives a kind of stuttery, bubbly sound as you play it. And they're used a lot on this album. Really well played. There's also whistle and guitar and bouzouki. So Irish bouzouki is an interesting thing because think of bouzouki as being a Greek instrument, but there's a strong tradition of it in Ireland, and mandolin. So a lot of this is about the playing. There's Irish drum. I can never know how you pronounce it. The boran, baran, buran, or something like that. But yes, it's nice. I enjoyed it. It's nicely done. And as I said in the description of the band, they were kind of ahead of a curve here in that as we got into kind of the early 90s particularly, the interest in folk music grew quite a lot in this country. This was 1971, and this sort of stuff was really thought of as for specialist audiences, but actually it was quite popular, and rightly so, because this is a nicely put together album.